Not too long ago, we purchased one of these, the Lenovo 10E Chromebook tablet. I don't know. We don't really have a good name for what Chromebook tablets are supposed to be called. Some people go with Chromeblet. That sounds terrible. So we're just going to stick with Chromebook tablet for now. But anyway, the reason we picked this thing up was not so that we could technically review it and even try to recommend this as something you guys should buy. What we really wanted to see was what it would be like to live with a 10-inch tablet that has a lot of the same components as the upcoming Lenovo Chromebook Duet that everyone is so excited about seeing and getting and having as a daily driver kind of Chromebook thing. And so this is the next best thing, and it's got some flaws to it for sure, but there's a lot about it that makes us very, very excited about the Lenovo Duet Chromebook, and we'd like to share some of those thoughts with you. So let's talk about the bad stuff first, because I want to kind of get it out of the way so we can talk about all the cool things that this thing does and the things I like about it. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, there's nothing about this device that I'm going to say, hey, I think you should go buy it. That doesn't mean that schools shouldn't get it, because it's rugged, it's durable, it can survive drops and classroom kind of stuff, and it really is clearly aimed towards the education sector. And so because of its price point, because of some of the limitations that we're going to talk about, I'm going to just say it up front. I don't think that any of you, if you're a just general consumer, should go and buy this tablet. Just wait for the Duet to come out. It's going to be out pretty soon, and I think it's going to be a much better purchase. It's much better value. They're actually similar in price, and the Duet comes with a keyboard and trackpad attached, and this one doesn't for almost the same amount of money. So with all of that said, there are bad things here that we need to talk about, but there's a lot of good things that inform what it's going to be like to actually use the Duet in practice. So first up is just the overall kind of clunky feeling of this tablet. It's kind of got a casing around the entire thing that makes it a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and a little bit thicker, and a little bit heavier than the Duet's going to be. Now, that's not to say it wasn't usable or it didn't still feel light and nimble, but you could just kind of tell you're using a device that puts a lot of emphasis on being thrown around along with being portable and thin, and that just kind of makes it feel a little bit off-putting if you're looking for a thin, light tablet. Additionally, the speakers are, in a word, terrible. I mean, they are honestly the worst speakers I've heard on just about any device. I'm putting phones and tablets and laptops and Chromebooks and all that stuff in that category. These are just plain bad. They're super quiet, they're very tinny, they're almost unusable in most scenarios. They are stereo, so they do separate your sound a little bit, but what little bit of sound you get out of there is almost never going to be something you're going to want to use. So luckily there is a headphone microphone jack on this one. There isn't on the Duet, so that at least saves a little bit of face here, but ultimately these speakers are pretty much trash. Another part of using this particular tablet that was a little frustrating is the fact that there's no keyboard even available for it yet. Lenovo is going to release that, I would assume, sometime in the summer, because again, this thing is really being geared towards the classroom, and they can get it sold and take purchase orders for it right now, but ultimately they don't really need to ship this thing out until later in the year for when classrooms kind of come back in August. So right now there is no keyboard even available for purchase. So other than pairing it to a Bluetooth keyboard and like setting it in a stand or something, if you really want to get productive on this thing, you've kind of got to get creative, and that just kind of took away from the overall user experience as well. The last thing I'll harp on here is what feels like unfinished firmware, and as I said, this thing is aimed for the classroom, so I don't expect them to even be worrying about final production level firmware, software, Chrome OS on this device until sometime later in the summer, early fall. So maybe that kind of gets a pass, but again, if you're even thinking about buying this, which I'm telling you, you probably should not do, there are some weird inconsistencies going on here, and most of it surrounds apps and what does and doesn't install, and you get used to, signing into your Chromebook and all your stuff shows up and arranges itself the way that you're used to seeing. And none of that was the case here. My tray didn't look the way it's supposed to. The apps I normally have didn't install. The folders I normally keep weren't there. And even after, going to the developer channel and coming back and power washing and starting over again, it did it again. It's like there's no ability for this device to stay synced with your Google account, and it was just kind of bizarre and odd. Okay, enough with the bad stuff. And some of that bad stuff is probably stuff that'll get worked out before this thing actually ends up in kids' hands in classrooms. So I don't want to fully be like, oh, this thing's a piece of trash and you should never buy it because it's terrible. Because a lot of that stuff's software kinks and it'll get ironed out. There's a ton of good stuff going on here too. And I think instead of saying, hey, it's great, maybe you should consider this device, again, I'm saying it's great. You should probably be looking more forward to the Duet. And that starts with the screen. This thing is a 400 nit full HD plus, so 1920 by 1200, so it's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, and it looks great. It's 400 nits, it's super bright, it's very colorful, it has awesome viewing angles, and it makes the experience of picking this tablet up just worth it all around. It is so nice to look at, and things look so sharp on the screen. Can't say enough good stuff about the screen. I love it. It makes content look great, it makes video look great, it makes gaming look great. Along with that display size just comes the overall size and weight of this thing. Now, like I said, this one is a little bit taller, wider, and thicker, and heavier than the Duet, but it still was very usable. Like, I could hold it in one hand, and I could take it to bed and read with it, and I could hold it above my head for long periods of time because it's not that much heavier than the Duet. And this informs us that the Duet is going to be this really portable, fun to use, easy to wield tablet that's just going to be a joy to hold, to use, and to take in all kinds of different scenarios where we don't normally take Chromebooks. But a great screen and very portable form factor would be no good if this thing was sluggish and slow, and again, that's not the case. This isn't the fastest Chromebook I've ever used, and the Duet won't be either, but it's fast enough to take advantage of all the new UI stuff that the tablets can do, and swiping around, and all those things are actually fun and look good and are enjoyable to use on this tablet because it's not stuttering and hiccuping all over the place. So all the things you want to do with a tablet, read books, play games, watch videos, consume content, scroll websites, all those things work really well on this tablet. And again, that's showing us that when the Duet comes out and it's thinner and it's lighter and it's easier to wield around, that the actual performance of the thing is also going to keep up with all the things you expect to do on a tablet. So taking all that good and some of the bad and mixing it all together, again, I want to caution you, I don't think you need to buy this particular Chrome OS tablet. It's just not made for you, and I don't think you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to regret the purchase decision, especially once the Duet comes out and becomes available. That being said, the use of this tablet has informed a ton about how much I'm excited about the Duet, because we can take the software bugs that I talked about in this video and probably push them aside. I think Lenovo will squash all that stuff before the Duet shows up. And also, one of my biggest aggravations with this tablet was the fact that there was just no dedicated keyboard. Well, the Duet ships with a keyboard and a trackpad, so that part's taken care of. And then we take all the good stuff and it just makes it better in the Duet. You know, we get more internal storage with the one that Best Buy is selling. We get a slimmer, tighter form factor that's lighter and easier to carry around. So like, all the good stuff that I'm talking about all is going to come along, and some of the bad stuff's going to get left behind. And the Duet is going to come out being this device, I think, that is actually going to live up to all the expectation. It's going to live up to all the hype that's been surrounding it, because it's going to be a fun device to use, and it's going to be crazy affordable. $280 for the 64 gig model and $300 for the 128 gig model. And I can't wait for it to show up. I know a lot of you all can't wait for it to show up. And while I can say you don't need to buy the 10E, I feel like after using this one for a couple weeks, you 100% are going to love the Chromebook Duet whenever it becomes available. And that was the whole point of us getting this, is to figure out if that was going to be the case. And I can confidently say I think it is. But guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, head down there, hit that subscribe button, make sure and hit the notification bell as well if you'd like to be notified when we make future videos just like this one. Also hit that join button if you'd like to see all the stuff our members get, like behind the scenes footage and custom emojis. Till next time, we'll see you.